Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. Let me tell you something right off the top here. The efforts of attorney John Deaton and the entire XRP community, though in particular the roughly 76,000 XRP holders who signed up to be represented by attorney John Deaton, to continue to have a profound impact on all existing SEC crypto lawsuits. And I'll tell you this, it is not good for the SEC. Oh, it is not good for the SEC. I'm going to share with you some of the latest developments on this front because cryptocurrency exchange Gemini, which I guess we're just friends with now because they listed XRP. I'm cool with that. Actually, I'm cool with that. I'm telling you, those Winklevi twins, that's the plural form of Winklevoss, they were so anti-Ripple and so anti-XRP for years. The fact that they've come around, whatever, just fine. I don't even care what the personal opinions are about XRP at this point. The point is, that's a reduction in tribalism. I'm just going to support it. That's a win for the crypto space in general. So yeah, we're friends now. We're all friends with them now, right? Can we let's just have it like that? But so that's why I wanted to highlight this though, because they're actually citing specifics from the SEC v. Ripple case in their battle against the SEC. And I just think that the right thing to do, and I think it's a positive for XRP also, is to help and support Gemini, even if that just means spreading the word, articulating this, because what happens in crypto communities actually matters. If you get enough people who are squawking about this, yes, have you not heard the phrase, squeaky wheel gets the grease? That's a real thing, bro. You ain't going to be getting the grease to the non-squeaky wheels, man. That makes no damn sense. I've also got some stuff from attorney John Deaton on this, but before going any further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a legal or financial background of any kind. I am not offering legal or financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I am just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. As a friendly reminder here, this trouble started anyway for Gemini specifically. The beginning part of this here you can see a press release from the asshat pricks at the SEC January 12th of this year. SEC charges Genesis and Gemini for the unregistered offer and sale of crypto asset securities through the Gemini Earn lending program. And by the way, you'll see as I go further in this video, they're still up to the same old tricks that they were in the SEC v. Ripple case. The tricks that didn't work. Like they're still doing that. I kid you not. And then there was this headline. This is from May 29th. This is just as a reminder here. Gemini and bankrupt lender Genesis ask U.S. court to dismiss SEC lawsuit targeting Earn program. So there you go. The beginning of this, it's January this year. And then Gemini pushing to have this whole thing dismissed as of late May. And that's still not yet determined. So it's a possibility, though probably not particularly likely. Who knows? It's not hurting what happened in the SEC v. Ripple case. That's helping them. So here you have the latest headline from the Daily Hodl. Crypto exchange Gemini slams SEC in new court brief and lawsuit over Earn program. And again, even if you're not that excited about Gemini, like for instance, I've never personally used Gemini. I'm not even sure. I might have an account because I signed up for like every exchange under the sun years ago. But even if you're not thrilled about Gemini, maybe you are, maybe you aren't. That's not the point. Kind of the point is, if things go well for Gemini, that's good for XRP. Do you see why I think it's worth us discussing this and maybe kind of tracking this and lending some support here and being vocal on social media, so on and so forth? So anyway, piece reads as follows. Crypto exchange Gemini is calling out the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission in its lawsuit over the platform's Earn program. In a lengthy post, Gemini lawyer Jack Bauman says that the SEC's lawsuit targeting the protocol's Earn program, which allowed customers to loan their digital assets to crypto firm Genesis as a means of earning interest, is absurd and contradictory. And so here's the quote from the recent filing just the other day from Gemini. And this is in the effort of trying to get this whole thing thrown out. The SEC is floundering. They can't even decide what the security is. On the one hand, they claim that the loan agreement was a security. On the other hand, they claim that the entire Gemini Earn program was itself a security. An argument absurd on its face. Another absurdity is the SEC's efforts to identify a sale. They never do, and instead fall back on arguments like this. Gemini and Genesis did in fact sell their promise to pay interest in exchange for crypto assets. Not only is this factually wrong, it is ridiculous. A sale and a loan are different things. At some point, words must mean something, end quote. And look, I can't help but laugh. I mean, I understand the seriousness of this, but sometimes, even in serious situations, if something can be so absurd, you just can't help but laugh. And this is one of those instances for me, because what did this bring me back to upon reading? Because again, this is the argument from the SEC. Gemini and Genesis did in fact sell their promise to pay interest in exchange for crypto assets. Sell their promise. You know what that makes me think of? That it's that XRP embodies the promises of Ripple. XRP itself, the asset, embodies the promises and efforts of Ripple. Remember that BS argument, which became known as the embodiment theory? And so here we have Gemini and Genesis. They did in fact sell their promise. Oh my God, these pricks. It's like the arrogance everyone is just seeping through. I'll get it off your screen, don't worry. So then we had this from John Deaton's Crypto Law organization, and they shared this little snippet, and I just want to highlight this because it's Gemini highlighting the SEC v. Ripple case. So I am glad to see that, yes, they're using what came from that to their benefit, and good, they should. Thankfully for them, Ripple spent $200 million. Thankfully for them, the XRP community is the best community in all of crypto, with I mean, come on, 76,000 from our community signing up. So Gemini's lucky for that, and so they're getting to bid. And so that's why, the fact that they listed XRP, at least seems somewhat mutual at this point. But anyway, here's what they wrote. Similarly, in the recent Ripple decision, Judge Torres explained that, quote, under Howey, the court analyzes the economic reality and totality of circumstances surrounding the offers and sales of the underlying asset, end quote. So everybody listening, like we've all had an impact here, unless you're literally a little, fly on the wall, literally not say anything, in which case you don't have to do anything. I think it's awesome that our community is gigantic and, generally speaking, not quiet. I think that's a good, on the whole, it's quite a positive here. But still, we're putting up with the same nonsensical BS from the SEC that we've always had to. It's just good that XRP is already on the other side of this thing. Everybody else is going to have to play catch up still. But here's what Attorney John Deaton had to say. SEC lawyers like Jorge Tenrero and @SEC Enforcement Director have learned nothing from the Ripple case. Their arrogance is mind-blowing. In the Gemini reply, Cameron and Tyler state, of course, those are the Winklevi, quote, the fact that the SEC cannot decide what is the security at issue only underscores the weakness of its position. It also violates fundamental fairness and the requirement of fair notice, end quote. In other words, the SEC makes up new arguments disregarding any previous argument it made earlier in the case. That, my friends, sums up the SEC and its approach to litigating crypto cases. As we learned in the Ripple case, the SEC is 100% transactional in its arguments, always shifting its theory or position. Remember when SEC lawyers claimed the Hinman speech was 100% his own personal opinion and not guidance to the market? But when the judge says, okay, I'll accept that, but since it wasn't official guidance and only his personal opinion, you must turn over the emails related to the speech. The SEC replied, wait, Judge, he was director of corporation finance at the time of the speech, in his official capacity as a director, and was giving the opinion and guidance of the Division of Corporation Finance. When Judge Knepper asked, don't you agree with me that what you're now arguing is inconsistent with your earlier arguments? The SEC told the judge that she was wrong and that it had never been inconsistent at all. And folks, this is why I actually tweeted something to Attorney Deaton about this, and he responded with a little 100 emoji, but it was something to the effect of, like, it's at the point here where, with how disingenuous the SEC is and all the bogus BS arguments they're making, it's just that, because they think they can get away with it, right? And so the point was, ultimately, it's just, it obviously didn't work out for them in the SEC v. Ripple case. I don't think it's working out for them elsewhere, just reading, responses from judges in various crypto cases. And it just seems to me that the arrogance of these people at the SEC is causing them to suffer in the courtroom. That's what it looks like to me. Their arrogance is actually harming what would otherwise potentially be greater legal progress. They're just doing it to themselves, but it's because of the arrogance. They think they can actually get away with this stuff and actually trick people into just falling for this stuff. But how could a judge be so stupid as to not know, like as cited here in the Hinman example, that they waffled back and forth to whatever would fit their argument in the moment? Attorney Deaton continues. Also remember how the SEC at first, I love this, there's so many examples of the flip-flopping here. Also remember how the SEC at first said Ripple was the common enterprise. Then the SEC changed its argument and said the common enterprise wasn't Ripple after all, but it was the entire XRP ecosystem, including all XRP holders. All the exchanges selling XRP and all the businesses and vendors using XRP, etc. Then later, the SEC said, no, it's not the entire XRP ecosystem that's the common enterprise, but the XRP token itself represents the common enterprise. And folks, this is one of the most absurd things too. Like, who would fall for this? This means the SEC doesn't know what the hell they're doing. And they clearly don't, but they just thought that, what, you could trick the judge and have 3 different positions about what the hell XRP is, and that's just fine, and you're going to win? No, that's not how things worked out for you. Ripple was the common enterprise, then the entire ecosystem was the enterprise, the common enterprise, and then after that, it was that XRP represents the common enterprise. What in the ever-loving hell is that? This is why they lost. And I'm very thankful that they're completely arrogant and incompetent in some way, because it's leading to just tremendous unforced errors here. Anyway, Attorney Deaton continues. Remember how the SEC said, we never claimed XRP itself was a security because stripped down it's only computer code, but later actually argued that XRP embodied Ripple's promises and represents the investment contract and represents the common enterprise? Do you understand the circular, nonsensical argument? The SEC argued it wasn't claiming XRP itself was a security, but only that XRP represented the second and third factors of the Howey test, which of course is another way of saying XRP itself is a security. Facepalm emoji. Well-placed facepalm emoji. Absolutely. It was so bad in the Ripple case that a federal judge called out the SEC's hypocrisy, and that was a quote, by the way, hypocrisy, and stated its lawyers, quote, lack faithful allegiance to the law, end quote, and will say anything, no matter how inconsistent with previous positions or statements, in order to advance its litigation goals. And by the way, folks, that was the biggest smackdown from either judge in the entire case, and it was Judge Sarah Netburn who said that the SEC lacked faithful allegiance to the law. And when that happened, I just remember, my jaw dropped. I was like, oh, yes, absolutely. And that was one of those moments where I'm like, me thinks that this is a good sign for XRP holders. Me thinks this is probably, because they're seeing through the SEC BS. They're not falling through this. It's BS arguments. They're seeing this. They're going to see that the arguments of XRP are also just as ridiculous. And so to me, I kind of took that, rightfully or wrongfully, I took it to some degree as some sort of indicator what they're thinking, because you can't read into their minds, obviously. But still, if they're going that far, I mean, that is not something that a judge will say to a plaintiff attorneys every single day, right? That was astonishing. That's how far out of line the SEC asshat prick attorneys are. And then Attorney Deaton says, in my opinion, it doesn't bother Gary Gensler or Gerber Gruel. So this is the SEC guy. I forget his title, and it's not listed in his Twitter it's X, formerly known as Twitter. But he's one of the higher up asshats. And so anyway, in my opinion, it doesn't bother Gary Gensler or Gerber Gruel, asshats, or Tenrero, that'd be one of the lawyers in the SEC v. Ripple case, that the judge called them hypocrites or said they're being unfaithful to the law they took an oath to uphold. It doesn't bother them because they literally think they are above the judge and the law. Yep, that's spot on. They think that they're above the judge and the law. Oh, and actually, this is the one that I did respond. This is what I was referencing like several minutes or so ago. So here's what I wrote in its entirety. The dishonesty, this is what I wrote to John Deaton in response to what I just shared with you. The dishonesty from the SEC is one of the many reasons that SEC suffered a devastating loss in the SEC v. Ripple lawsuit. They are suffering in court from their own arrogance. And that's how I see it. They're arrogant. They think they can get away with whatever. They're above the law, and but they're not though. They're not getting away with any of this, and it's hurting them. And I'm here for it. Let them keep acting like that because that works in our favor. Who's gonna fall for this? Seriously, you'd have to have an idiot judge. My God. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because if anything I say are right, that would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.